For NJ Media, I'm Connor Hughes. Well, the top target for the Jets this offseason, or the presumed top target for the Jets this offseason, will officially be there for the taking, or should I say signing. Kirk Cousins, the former Redskins quarterback, is officially going to be hitting the open market. The Redskins agreed to a trade Tuesday night with the Kansas City Chiefs for quarterback Alex Smith. So with Alex Smith going to the nation's capital, they obviously do not need their own veteran quarterback, Kirk Cousins, anymore. So Cousins, who now obviously, as I said, is going to be on the free agent market, the Jets will certainly be a team that is interested in signing him, and they won't be the only team interested in signing Cousins. You know, Cousins is a quality player, so and with so many quarterback needy teams out there, the Jets will have to compete for his services. So, you know, what separates the Jets from maybe some other teams that could potentially be looking to bring Cousins aboard? Well, there's a few things. I think number one is that, and it's probably the most obvious thing, is that the Jets have about as much money as anybody else to pay him. You know, once the Jets make some expected cuts of Muhammad Wilkerson and Matt Forte and Ben Ajalon and potentially Buster Skrine, they'll have over $100 million in salary cap space. So any deal that Cousins could potentially get from another team, absent maybe the Cleveland Browns, the Jets will have the ability to match it. So they will be able to go toe-to-toe with anybody and ensure themselves, unlike the last couple years, that their free agent that they want doesn't get away. You know, now if a contract offered to Cousins becomes so much that the Jets like, you know what, we just can't justify paying him that, well, that's a different story. But if the Jets are willing to give Cousins whatever he wants, they certainly have the means to give him whatever he wants with that $100 million in salary cap space. So there's no reason that Cousins would leave the Jets or turn away from the Jets down to money, because the Jets have the ability to pay him whatever he wants and match whatever other team is willing to pay him. Number two, I think that while the Jets right now may not be as enticing when you look at an overall roster construction-wise as some of these other teams, they have the means to not only add Cousins, but then build a really good team around him. I mean, this is a situation for Kirk Cousins where if he signs with the Jets, New York then has the number 6 pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, 2 picks in the second round, and a pick in the third and fourth round to add additional talent to the roster. They will also then have anywhere from 65, 70, potentially $80 million in additional salary cap space to go out there and target some top offensive free agents, top defensive free agents to then bring onto this team with Cousins. You know, maybe that's Allen Robinson, the wideout for the Jaguars. Maybe that is Le'Veon Bell, a wild card from the Steelers. Maybe that's Ryan Jensen to partner and fix up the offensive line at center. Maybe it's Jeremy Hill as a physical back to pair with Eli McGuire and Bilal Powell. I mean, the Jets have the financial resources to not only pay Cousins whatever he wants, but then also add several other free agents to round out this roster and really make him a playoff contender. I think the other really big drawing factor in New York, and probably the number 3 drawing factor, aside from like marketability, which is obviously big, and you're playing in New York City, one of the biggest media markets in the world, and obviously that will improve Cousins' value outside of football in terms of endorsements and stuff. Talking specifically just football, is that I think that there's probably going to be a little bit of maybe less expectations that if Cousins were to go sign with, say, the Jacksonville Jaguars, or go out there and sign with the Denver Broncos. You know, obviously he would have to come to New York and deal with the New York media and the tabloids and having, you know, 20-something reporters in the Jets locker room every day. But outside of that, if you're able to quiet that noise, nationally, there aren't going to be as many people talking about a Super Bowl Jets run in 2018 as there would be in Jacksonville if he went and signed with the Jaguars, or if he went to Denver and signed with the Broncos. You know, the Broncos not long ago were in the Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl and Super Bowl contenders, and they're viewed as a team that is ready to win right now and just a quarterback away. So if Cousins were to go to Denver and struggle that first season, or get the Broncos bounced in the very first round of the playoffs, the talk of him not being a big game quarterback and struggling in the clutch and all those things, that's just going to come rearing its ugly head again. Same thing in Jacksonville. That's a team that went to the AFC Championship game with Blake Bortles under center. If Cousins can't go and take over that team and go to the Super Bowl, there are going to be legitimate concerns about Kirk Cousins. If he were to come to New York, though, you're talking about Cousins coming into a New York situation where, yes, New York media market and all that, but the Jets are a team that just hasn't made the playoffs since 2011. So if Cousins can even just will this team to the postseason, that will be a significant accomplishment for him when the other two teams that potentially could be in the market for him, you kind of got to get him to a Super Bowl, or Super Bowl or bust. So, you know, look, Cousins is going to get paid this offseason. He's going to be on the free agent market. He's going to have his pick of which team he wants to play for. But I think when it comes down to it all, the Jets are a pretty appealing option. For NJ Media, I'm Connor Hughes.